So he said, hydrate line this whole area. And I said to the Hollandish guy, I said, what I would do is this. I would find out what these animals are excessive in, deficient in, reconcile what's going on in this rumen ecosystem. Let the cow tell you, well, I got a glare from the gates of hell from this veterinarian. You mean to tell me that an animal's smart enough to do that? And I said, well, it has nothing to do with smart like you and I. I said, it has to do with instinct, which you and I don't have. And I said, and that's what I'm talking about. He said, oh, that's ridiculous. He said, I've seen an animal open up a bag of insecticide and eat insecticide. And I said, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's 99.5% bentonite clay and it's 0.5% insecticide. The animal was after the bentonite clay. Exactly, right? So, these are the kinds of things when we look at these animals and we watch them. Now you got a soil test, you have a forage test, and you have a notebook when you go out on that paddock and you write down notes of what's going on. Geez, they're eating a lot of magnesium this month. Geez, they're eating an awful lot of calcium this month. You write it down and you make notes. Weather has been, unseasonably warm, wet, cool. Believe me, you go back to that over time and your farm writes its own story. Your cows and sheep and goats write the story of the farm, and as the farm changes, the story changes. It's incredible. You will go back and be able to go back when you're a grandparent, if you're a young man, and tell your grandchildren the story of your farm as it evolved because of your stewardship. It's an amazing thing to do, but you got to keep the notes. And you keep the soil test, the next side, the forage test, and the notes that season. And you go back, you'll be another Wendell Berry. You'll be the poet, laureate of your own farm community. Here's an example of wild animals down in the tributaries of the Amazon. The macaws going out eating this clay. We produce a clay we get out of California called Dynamite clay. It's amazing how animals, we just heard during the break how somebody's cows are inhaling the clay. I get this question all the time. Why do animals eat dirt? Good question. And there's usually a handful of possible answers. Either they're suffering from mineral deficiency or mineral excess. They've got some kind of poison, natural or man-made. They've got acidosis. They've got rumen ammonia, or BUN, blood urea nitrogen, too much nitrogen, protein, something. Those are the reasons why they eat it. And you'll figure that out. If, the talk earlier today, the break earlier today, those cows are eating that clay because of high, funny protein. Lots and lots of protein. Too much Atkins diet makes you uncomfortable. You get too much blood urea nitrogen, your kidneys and liver are really working like crazy. It's not fun. So you eat the clay, you put the fire out up here in the rumen, end of story. The ammonia does not escape into the bloodstream. Hey, when you go for blood tests, people, they test BUN and U2. What's BUN an indication of? Kidney and liver function. Healthy kidneys and livers. If you have elevated BUN, something's not right. And I claim it's beyond the kidney and the livers. It goes back to poor digestion. Because if your digestion's not right, your livers and kidneys are the next organs that take the hit. Remember those fatty livers I showed you? If the digestion's not right, the liver's got to make up, for lost time. Because the liver is the most forgiving organ of them all. But it can only do so much work on detoxification when the primary role of the liver is what? To make enzymes? That's the primary role of the liver, and bile. And it'll make a quart of bile a day. And bile is an unbelievable substance. It's very detoxifying, emulsifies all the fats into esterified fatty acids so you can absorb them, and so your cell membrane can rebuild itself because the cell membrane is made up of fat. So you need bile as a very, very important cleanser of the body. And if the liver is out here constantly getting rid of blood urea, nitrogen, mold poisons, and all these other things, it's not being very efficient because you can't do two full-time jobs at the same time. That's why the digestive system's got to be addressed first. So these birds, they're finding out they eat this clay. You see that bird over here? He's got a handful of it in his claws here. When certain fruits come into ripening, and they examine the seeds of these fruits, and these seeds are toxic. But the fruit of the fruit is very, very nutritious. All food is both nutritious and poisonous. Got news for you. All food. All foods have poisons. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that we've learned over time with our elimination organs and our digestive organs to neutralize these poisons. Phase 1 and Phase 2 conjugation is called. And who does that? The liver. And the liver uses an enzyme called, again, glutathione S-transferase. Glutathione, there's that peptide again. Glutathione peroxidase for the immune system. Glutathione S-transferase for what? Phase 1, Phase 2 conjugation. Liver detoxification. We could do it real well. We're real good at it. That's why we don't die so often. The amount of poisons we eat and survive is amazing. Those 5,000 deaths that the CDC reports every year isn't nothing compared to what we could be doing to ourselves. That's because we have livers that keep us from dropping dead a lot more often. In Phase 1, Phase 2 conjugation. And that's in food. All those conjugators, and I'll go into that, are all in food. Now you're going to find out. It's really exciting to find out what kind of detox compounds are in the most detoxifying foods. But that's a detoxifying effect there. And it's also a nutrifying effect. There's a lot of minerals in these clays, colloidal minerals in these clays. Uh-oh. I'm stuck. Changing. Oh. And this is a book that actually explained, I wrote an article for Acres USA a couple issues back on this. Geophagia. Earth eating, people do it, animals do it, all around the world. And what we find out is animals, particularly in the spring, crave mineral salts because the potassium levels in the forages tend to go higher than the magnesium and the calcium levels. Remember I said these positively charged elements are all competing for seats at the table. And they have to be in balance. If you get an overwhelming flush of potassium, you get it at the expense of calcium and magnesium. If that happens, you end up with tetany, tremors, hypocalcemia, milk fever, irritability, digestive problems. So animals in their wisdom know now's the time to go to the mineral lick. And that's what this study was done on North American wild animals. So now we're going to go through, I was afraid of. Sometimes this happens. Let me tell you what you're missing. I don't know what you're missing until I get... Could you move that forward? Or can you fix that? You probably can't fix that, can you? Back there? Sometimes this happens, and I think it's your computer. My notes. Oh, yeah, it's the Fortune Cancer magazine article. Okay, I can wing this. What this is a picture of a magazine called Fortune. And the headline article in this red blotch here is Why We Are Losing the War on Cancer. And this is March 29th, 2004. I was coming back from a trip, stopped at the LA airport, picked this magazine up. And Fortune magazine, as you know, is not the Mother Earth News. You know, it's a pretty conservative, all about money kind of magazine. And I thought, maybe I'll read this, maybe I won't. But what I found out was, what they basically said was that we're not winning the war on cancer at all. I mean, it's a pretty dismal arrangement. We have, and I'll show you the statistics. Can we move forward on that or not? Can you manually? Is that a yes or a no or a maybe? You're half my age, you got to know